Popping the streets, everybody. I believe, therefore I'm KingSylar. Hope you guys are doing all right today. We're back at it with another battle review. It's been a little bit of a minute, but I feel like this one is going to be pretty simple and straight to the point. First and foremost, appreciate y'all rocking with me. But before we get started, please make sure that you like, share, subscribe. Please subscribe to the channel for your boy. Although I missed that mark, unfortunately, your boy's external hard drive got corrupted, and I have not been able to consistently be on it like the way I'm supposed to. But we're back on it now, so I'm still working towards that 1,000 subscriber mark. So please make sure that you subscribe, share the content. I definitely want to hear your thoughts about it. Took the time out to definitely review this battle, and got a new perspective on it. So yeah, let's run it. What's popping in the streets, y'all? I believe, therefore I'm KingSylar. You know what it is. You can see the title, Grizzy versus Matrix. Yeah, this one, in all honesty, really shouldn't be too complex. I think it's pretty straightforward. But I think the big problem that's underlining are kind of the parameters of this battle, in my opinion, is what's swaying people's deciding factor in regards to this battle. But we definitely want to break it down. But big shouts out to both of them, those cats, for battling. Definitely enjoyed it all the way through. Big shouts out to Kill Crump and Off the Floor for putting this battle together. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So first and foremost, let me just kind of put this out there as a top note. The live stream does not do these battles justice. It does not. I'll blatantly go out of my way and say I don't know how people possibly made a sound judgment based off of what I was looking on that live stream. Because the stream lagged a little bit. I don't know if it was just me, but I watched that battle and it does not give justice as far as like the movements and things of that nature, and as far as the details. I noticed that with some of the other battles that popped out, but we'll discuss those at a later time. But yeah, so with that being said, I got 4 simple points I'm gonna make, and I think it'll shed a little bit of light on the clarity as far as to maybe why people believe that it was a 1 round, but they may not be able to articulate it properly. So let's go ahead and jump into it. My first point, just want to be completely transparent. I don't think it was a 1 round. I don't think it was a 1 round. That's just me. Looking at the battle back, do I think that Matrix won the first round? Absolutely. There's no question about it. No question about it. You know, unfortunately, I did battle reviews, predictions for these battles. That was around the time of my external hard drive went out, and I wasn't able to upload. But literally, probably say about 90% of the battles came out to exactly the way I said they would. Exactly, and this is one of the ones that I was talking about. Now, second point, the battle's over. It was called a 1 round. There's nothing I can do about it. So, in fact, is it a 1 round? Absolutely. That's just what happened. That is what physically is what happened. I can't say anything. I can't deter anybody's points or distract from the evidence at hand. Grizzy went first. Matrix went second. They told him to stop after Grizzy's second round when he went out there again, and that was pretty much it. So it's a wrap. I guess technically, yeah, it would be a 1 round because I guess he did still go out there. But even on the live stream, there was a little bit of time before they went right back out there. So, you know, probably took the air out of the room. But the 2 main points as far as in particular that I want to make about the particular battle is examining Grizzy's approach to the battle. And when I say that Grizzy's approach to the battle, in my honest opinion, was that of a street battle. To me, and this is kind of one of the things that I tell people, is that, in my opinion, there's 4 types of battles. 4. For me. There's tournaments, we obviously understand that. Set amount of time, win. Objectively, you need to win. Street battles, which in my opinion are more about dominance and control of the battle, as far as in terms of the energy that I'm put out needs to overwhelm what you're doing. You can't exactly have a lot of flash because then it's just kind of like you're doing a whole bunch of moves. People are not enjoying a show. Like, we're not here to see a show. We're here to see a gritty battle. That's a street battle. That, whether it's unspoken or understand or not, that is kind of the code of the street. You know what I'm saying? It's rough, it's gritty, you know, it's not supposed to be pretty or elegant. Then you have just regular battles that maybe you might have at a session that are maybe in a studio or something like that. Those are just regular standard battles to where everybody's interacting, they're a part of it, everybody's on the same neutral level. You're able to kind of like literally see it in real time. You're able to judge it as it's happening right there on the spot. You are literally connected to it. We have those in some events, things of that nature for sure, but they are significantly different from the last category, which I consider, which are more so stage battles, which we saw with all the kill crime battles. Now, the reason why I say that there's a difference between, so to speak, like maybe just regular ground battles versus stage battles. It's the same way that I would say, hypothetically speaking, let me just give you this example. When you go to a basketball game or you go to a fight, you're in a seat, you're paying to be entertained. You're paying to watch. I'm literally taking out all your interaction aside from the hype that you may give out, and I'm putting you in a seat. I'm putting you at a distance and putting you at a seat. So you are not directly interacting with what's transpiring directly. It is solely on the dancers or the entertainers or the athletes' job to entertain and do their jobs. Present, show me you're the winner or how you're gonna win, so on and so forth. You get what I'm trying to convey here. As far as regular battles, even if that's at major events, you're directly there. You can interact with it. Like, it's still very much a very personal experience. When we take it to a stage, there has to be a level of stage presence presented when you step on that stage. Why? Because you are putting the audience in a position to where they are not directly interacting with the dancers. They have now become an audience. They have now become not just spectators, but they are literally in a third party position. They're not second or first. If I'm 20 feet back in a seat, I'm observing. It's no different from when I go watch a movie. I want to be entertained. That means that there has to be some level of showmanship, charisma, and stage presence. And with all due respect to Grizzy, I do believe that those are the particular elements that he was missing. When I look at his rounds, they're great. They are great. It kind of leads into my fourth point, which the one thing that people were underestimating and they weren't appreciating was the continuity in Matrix's movements. Pretty much, the moves are seamless. They transition from one thing to another. If we go back and we watch we watch Grizzy's first round, you can tell to where he's transitioning between material. There's get off, his fundamental application, his core work was there, his footwork was there. As far as like him actually trying to battle, it was there. His movements didn't really have any points. Even the texture, the application, the musicality in which he was utilizing in that battle was there. So I think that's a big thing that people are sleeping on and they did not appreciate for variable reasons, which, if we're just being honest, I felt like there was a lot of, kind of like a lot of animosity or maybe like some tension towards the Eyes fam, in some of these battles. But we're not here to get into that. I'm just here to call it as I see it. I'm not ignorant. Been here for a while. I know who Eyes is. I don't know him personally, but I know who he is. I know as far as we know the atmosphere, as far as with him and as far as his fan members. So I'm not going to sit here and feign ignorance and pretend like there may or may not have been people in the crowd that were just kind of like, I'm not hyping these niggas. Which we know hype is supposed to be unbiased. Supposed to be unbiased. But it doesn't always get portrayed that way. So neither here nor there. But looking at Grizzy's rounds were solid. And that's why I say if we were in a street battle, I would say that he won that round clear. Because fundamentally, I think he was a lot more advanced, clean, and precise than Matrix. No doubt about it. Where I feel that he lacked was the creativity aspect of it. You can see there kind of like, no disrespecting, but I felt like maybe he was a little bit nervous because he looked down Didn't really necessarily look out at the crowd too much. Like his movements weren't necessarily outward; they were more kind of just on a fixed point towards Matrix. And that's not necessarily a slight against him because it is a battle at the end of the day. I'm not expecting you to just simply get out there and perform. You know, like this is not a showcase. This is a battle, so I will acknowledge that. But where Matrix picked up, and although I do not believe that his continuity as far as like his movements transitioning between, you know, I'm gonna do some material, okay, and then there's gonna be a pose, and then there's some traveling, and then there's some level changing, and then there's some arms, and then there's gonna be some material again, and then some musicality. Those things were seamless with Grizzy, in my opinion. But as far as Matrix, it wasn't necessarily there. But where Matrix capitalized on was the fact that he took into account that we're on a stage. I do need to perform to a certain level or display, articulate vibrantly that here's my creativity. Having the intro, Grizzy had it as well, but I do think, Grizzy's was more kind of like, I'm taking a direct shot at you, and Matrix is more of like, I'm Ric Flair, like I'm that guy, pretty much. So, with that being said, I think that it just simply translated better. And I feel like when we watch Matrix's hat moves, when we watch his showmanship, his charisma, his musicality, like he was constantly moving across the floor on a consistent basis, interacting with the crowd, letting him know that he is present of them. He's aware that they are there. It's not just simply just me and you up on the stage, despite the fact that you are on a stage. And if we put you in that environment, then you need to perform to a certain level. And I think that is the most important element, is that Grizzy was trying to battle him on a stage like this was a street battle. Matrix came there with a game plan to outclass him. Not to get into a dogfight, but to outclass him. And you can do that in a variety of ways, whether that be even more creative, charismatic, flashy thing. All those things is what he did. So when we look at the battle, I can see why so many people, there was so much hype, because the crowd was being interacted with. It was making it, Matrix was doing a very efficient job of making it being known, like it's not just me up here, y'all are with me. I'm trying to give y'all energy, y'all give me y'all's energy back. So when we look after that second round, charismatic people do what charismatic people do. They turn the entire room against Grizzy. And that's exactly what Matrix did. So when we look at the battle, it was literally the entire room shifted towards Matrix. And then when Grizzy went out there for that second round, it made his entire round look flat. It's not that he was whack. It's not that he couldn't crump or he was off beat, but it was like, okay, you now have to get out there, and I need you to be just as charismatic. I need you to be just as vibrant and have just as much energy as Matrix did in the second round. And although we know, like, yo, that's hard to come back from. You get out there and you get in there on stage with somebody, or you get in a battle just in general with somebody who's really charismatic and they're good as far as influencing the crowd and pandering and things of that nature. It's hard to come back for that when you were much more of a gritty dancer. And I said this, you know, it's unfortunate I don't have it. Well, it's here, but I just don't feel like editing it. But it's there, and I said that this was a potential battle. Hey, if Grizzy takes this into a dogfight and he just bombs on him, then yeah, he could potentially overwhelm Matrix. But if Matrix gets out there, which he is known for, he's always been a charismatic dancer. So I think that should have been a factor that should have been thought about. You can't just get in there and, with respect, not saying that you did, but you can't just get in there and swing your life away against people like that. You have to have some stage presence. You have to finesse sometimes. Power and get off are not always going to get it done. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but that depends on the atmosphere and the dynamic of how your opponent approaches the battle. So with all that being said, I can understand why they called it. And I don't want to hear that nonsense about hype and stuff like that, because, you know, when we have these conversations about overhype, biased hype, not hyping, hype over here, hyping your crew, hyping your people, which I will admit, you know, I won't lie, I didn't really like the stage all that much for any of the battles, if I'm being real, because it felt too much like a performance, and I think it took out the essence of Crunk. It'd have been different if it was, with respect, like a stage like EBS, how they had like everybody in a circle area and there's everybody surrounding it. It feels a little bit more intimate versus the crowd is like 5 or 6 feet away from the stage and there's a barrier there. Then it looks like a show in a sense. So all that to say, I get why they called it, and watching it on footage, on a technical level, I didn't agree with the 1 round, but being in their room is something entirely different. I've been in plenty of situations where I've seen people get 1 rounds called based off of what was happening in the room, not what was actually happening in real time when we look back at it on camera. So it is what it is. Like I said, I can't change anything, but big shouts out to both of those guys. Let me know your thoughts on the battle. I did this because I kind of wanted to let it calm down a little bit so that people would kind of like get off the hype of it, because I know, again, East Coast, Matrix, his people, versus Tight Eyes and the West Coast, whatever case may be, all those elements as far as like people just simply not being able to see a battle clearly. So wanted to take some time and kind of recap this, but yeah, definitely let me know what your thoughts are. I would definitely love to hear your opinions. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Catch you on the next one. Peace.